Hi everyone. So it seems just as up late or up early, depending on how you look at it. But I had this dilemma with these drapes I'm making for my dining room. And when I figured it out, I had to do at least one panel and share that with you, and some really neat techniques that I have used myself over the years when it comes to pleating. Now, granted, I'm putting pleats in these curtains, but the reason why is because they were too short. And I had to figure out a way to make them longer. I had to go from 69 inches to 82 inches. That's a lot of inches to add. And still have them look nice, like they should have, like they're supposed to look like they do. Well, in the material that I have is this beautiful flowy crinkle crepe kind of fabric. There is green, beautiful dark blue. It's like a steel blue. And then there's a gold stripe in it that goes, it's vertical. The great thing about vertical stripes in a room makes the room look really tall and higher. If you've got regular ceilings, it'll give that illusion. You'll think, wow, this is a big room. It's not really, it's just the stripes. So I knew I had to use, I didn't have any more striped fabric. I had barely enough to make them 76 inches long when I first started doing it. And I thought, okay, like I was 6 inches short of 82. So, I had enough to do 76 to have enough to do 82. And I thought, how am I going to fix that? Well, this is going to be our green room. Husband doesn't know it yet. Yeah, I'm going to paint the walls, but it's not going to be in your face green. It's going to be a very demure kind of green in this family. Just a hint of it, kind of like an eggshell, but a little green tint to it. It'll keep the room big, bright, but have some color. And this is the most color this room's going to get. Except for the tablecloth I'm going to make for Christmas. We're going to go over that too. Not today though. So I said, my favorite color is green. It's going to be the green room. I said, wait, I have a piece of green material in my workroom. And it's very lightweight. It's a really kind of cheap type of fabric. But it had to be the same weight. And that was what was important. It doesn't matter. It's not bad quality fabric. It's just not the greatest. But I needed something to extend my drapes that matched the decorum. This is the green material I had. It's almost see-through. And then I got this crazy idea, because as I was looking for something else in my workroom, I found a roll of hunter green ribbon that was potentially going to be used for my son's wedding because that was his color. I got a wild hair. I don't like seeing seams where it doesn't really look classy looking. It kind of looks like kindergarten to me. I like them to look kind of spiffy and classy. Crinkle drapes are classy. So I said, I know what I can do with that ribbon. Because I don't have a cutter. I have a wonderful AccuQuilt system, but I don't even know if they have a cutter that makes long pieces 6 inches wide. And I needed these to be 6 inches so that when I did the seaming, it would still give me 6 inches. So in other words, I had to have like a 7-inch wide cutting thing, and it wasn't there. So I did 2 3-inch strips, or actually 3.5. When you connect them together, you end up with your 5-inch piece because you're taking a quarter off each side. So I was like, that's perfect. Then I had to seam right through the green, and I go, that doesn't look right. And I found the ribbon, and I go, I'm going to cover it up with the ribbon. Yes. So it gives it a little shine, because it makes it a little more formal. Dining rooms are supposed to be formal. Now, here is the thing. I don't have a whole lot of time on my hands right now because it's wedding season. So I'm looking for shortcuts for myself. And when I find them, I'm going to share them. Well, I've done these before. I just never thought about doing for myself all the time when I get to crunch time. If you've ever used Stitch Witchery, it is a savior. It is a saving. It comes a couple different ways. It comes in sheets. It comes in little rolls. It comes in a roll like this, or it has paper. So this is great for beginners because you just tear off the length of it that you need. You put it down, between your layers, and you iron over the paper part because it doesn't burn or anything. And you peel the paper part back, put the other layer of fabric that you're trying to glue it to, and then you just press it. Simple. And then there's the regular, wheels of it that have, this kind of thing just kind of on the wheel. I've used it all but this much. I had a little bit left on a spool, and I was like, ooh, I'm cutting close. The reason why I'm pleating these drapes is because the fabric, the main fabric, this beautiful stripes, it is 60 inches wide. The green material that I'm having to use as an addition to lengthen it is only 45 inches. I'm losing 15 inches. Yeah, and that's hard to figure out how to maneuver. Now, the one way most people would do is they would just gather it. So you'd have your 45-inch piece that I'm doing to lengthen it. But as far as the width part of it, to match this width, most people would just gather it. Do gather stitches, 2 rows of gather stitches, the big long stitches, gather it up and make it look nice. And that everybody does the gather thing. I don't want to do the gather thing. I did a woman's house one time for her, and she wanted box pleat balances, and that's what these are, box pleats. And I fell in love with box pleats because they were so easy. Oh my goodness. Now I figured out a way to make them easier. Stitch witchery. This whole set of these curtains, I'm not going to use my sewing machine for, except for the hem and the side seams, which I've already done on the panels. I've already done my side seam. I've already done a very skimpy 1 1/4 inch hem. And I call it a cheater method. It's 60 inches wide, right? My windows are 32. So I'm going to have 120 inches nice, full gathered in each window. But that's what I want. I want it to be almost like a blackout, but not the heavy blackout kind of drapes. And when you have double, and this is actually quadruple the width of your window, in there, it has the same effect. You don't have to worry about fading as much. And these windows face the east, so you only get the morning sun coming up and the hot sun in the afternoon. They don't get that, so I don't have any worries about fading fabric. You have to think about those things wherever you're putting curtains up. If it's a bright sunny window all day long or the majority of the day, you're going to want to put a barrier on the back. You can use a bed sheet. That's what I use. When I line my drapes, I go to a Goodwill or a thrift store that sells just plain white sheets, and that's my lining, and the white reflects the sun out. My drapes stay nice and colorful, and I don't spend a lot of money. I am a very budget conscious seamstress, and I'm teaching you how to do the same. I hope you don't mind. Everybody wants to save some money, right? So I attached to 2 3.5 inch strips, sewed them together with my sewing machine. That's the part I did. That was the other thing I used the sewing machine for. But when it came to the satin ribbon, I said, I will eventually sew it. But I go, I don't have time to sew it. I've got Thanksgiving coming, I've got a test coming up. I use the stitch witchery. But the stitch witchery is just about an 1/8 of an inch wider than the ribbon is. So the ribbon's 5/8, and I think this is like 7/8, so it's 2/8 inches big. 2/8 of an inch bigger. I think that's what this is. Yeah, it is. This is 7/8. The stitch witchery and the roll is a 7/8. I know they have a half, but this is what I had on hand. So what I did was I rolled it around my fingers like this, and then I took my paper cutting scissors and I cut down off a little thin strip of it off. So now it was less than just a hair under 5/8. I laid it down on the green lengthener, and then I put the satin ribbon on it, and about every 2-3 inches, and pressing it and gluing the satin ribbon onto the extender. It works. Stitch witchery lasts a long time. Anyway, I'm not going to wash these for a while, but what I'm going to do is after Thanksgiving, I'll take them down, and I'm going to stitch just along the edges of the ribbon. And it won't deter from it, but I'll still have the look for Thanksgiving. So that's one hack of mine. I use the stitch witchery is when I'm adding ribbon to something. You're going to love the fact that it's excellent for box pleats or any pleats. Box pleats are great on a skirt. I mean, you don't have to use it for just curtains, but you can put them on a skirt. A box pleat skirt. Oh, they're so cute. Coming back in style. I love the fact that this is a vertical stripe pattern because it's easier to do box pleats with. Now what you want to do is, since the green is shorter, I went ahead and I did the side seams on the extender and the piece that goes on the top of this and the bottom, the main part, to get it out of the way. Because that way all I have to do with the serger is go zip, zip, and that's it. And then of course, we'll use this sewing machine to do the little casing at the top. And I have one hanging to show you what they look like when they're done, but that one's actually not done yet. I like to have that little ruffle at the top, you know, this sits along the curtain rod, and that one doesn't have one yet, but I couldn't wait to see how they looked hanging, so I put one on, and I'm going to show it to you. So to do box pleats on this style that I came up with, just like anything, you put your right sides together, okay? And you're having to shrink the wider fabric to fit the more narrow one. In other words, the stripes to the green, the stripes have to be the same width as the green is. So you have to fudge it. You have to tell it how to do it. So you take, and I had to cut this, the piece that goes on the top for this design is 18 inches. I had to cut 4 18-inch pieces to make these my 82 inches long. Oh my goodness. Because you have to account for your casing at the top that the rod goes through. So you take your finished extender piece and right sides together. You pin it, like I did here, to each end first. I've got both pieces pinned on here, so it gets a little confusing. But so you pin. Come here. This end has been pinned, and this end has been pinned. So this is the 45, 44. Then, to find the center, you fold it like this, okay? And you mark the center with a little, I use a fabric, washout fabric pen, and I mark it. And I also mark it on the green so they match. Then the next thing you want to do is fold this again, okay? And you do the same thing on this fold, inside and outside. And you're probably wondering why. That's how you figure out how to make your pleats. Now, I did this a little different than normally would be done. Normally you would go across the whole thing and just do a pleat all the way across. I followed the pattern of the stripes instead. So I don't have pleats all the way across. I have pleats in like 2/3 of it. And on either end, it's smooth, which is fine in case I had rods that curved, but I don't. And that's fine too, because they're going to be pushed aside most of the time anyway. So it won't make a difference. And they're going to be so full, it'll look like they're pleated at the ends, and they're really not. That's the beauty of 120 inches. So to do the pleats, what I did was I pinned those two together. I've got my marks on, right? I started from the center, and I counted how many of these blue stripes, because I have stripes to go by. If you don't have stripes, just do it by measurement. So if I was going to do this just by measuring where this middle one is between the center and the end, you're going to have all this extra fabric. Push it up in the center. And so what you would do is you kind of like do this. You would go like this. So you'd have all this little extra stuff here that just kind of like sticks up. And you push it up like this to where it's like a little peak. This thing. Don't catch up the green in it because you're only pleating this, not the extender fabric, the other fabric. And then you take your finger and you push that down like that, and that makes the pleat. To get the pleat to stay, you can do several things. Some people like to tack it down, like hand tack it down. Some people like to stick it in the sewing machine and do a stay stitch, vertical stay stitch, which is cool because you're going to pull it out afterwards. I did stitch witchery because this sucker is going to be mostly serged. Finally got my serger working like a dream, and I'm going to use it. So when you do that thing where you push it down with your finger, put a pin there because now it's got a crease. Press it with the iron one time, then you're going to press it again. After you've pressed with the iron the one time, you take a sliver, and I mean a sliver, just a little piece of this, stick it under that fold, put the iron on it. It'll hold it in place until you get it stitched. And that's what I did. That's what we get ready to do. Serger back here. So I did it on that one half side. The other half of the side, I've just got it pinned, but you have to be careful if you pin and serge that you don't hit the pins because it will tear it up. It'll break every needle in the house eventually. Mine's making a funny noise, so that something's going on with the needle bar. I've had to adjust it today, so I'll have to play with that a little bit. When you use your serger a lot, or what I mean by a lot is use it for a big project, and you're constantly using it for a couple of days, it will loosen things up, things will get on out of whack, and you have to get a little love and tender care and do some maintenance and tighten some things up and take the vacuum kit out and vacuum that baby out and apologize for overworking her because that's what I do. I was like, honey, I'm sorry, but I had to use it. So that's this part. So I pressed them, put the stitch witcher under the little folds, and then I press it again so it glues it in place. And now I'm getting ready to put it in the serger. So the ones that I glued, I don't have to leave the pins in. The one side, the other half side, I did not glue it, but I did press it. And I just have to take my time. You should take your time whenever you do something like this on the serger so that it doesn't get away from. This thing likes to take off like a jet. And I know I'm powering it with my foot, but I think that's got a touchy clutch or something. So I'm going to serge this this side, and then I'm actually going to pleat the other side and actually show you how it's pleated by hand without the stitch witchery, hopefully. And I been doing this all day. I'm going to do this one just a little bit so you can see and put it under there. That needle out. Don't need that there. And sometimes the fabric's slippery, so you gotta take it. You gotta hold it and take it through, well, or guide it through, I should say. I'm coming to my first pleat, so I don't want to lose it. So I'm gonna hold that fold down. And I can't remember if this is the glue side or not the glue side. I think this is the non-glue side, actually. No, that is the glue side. This is the non-glue side I'm coming to. It looks like, yeah. I put a very little piece in there. I'm going to pull these pins back on. That one out because it's too close. Got a little nervous there for a second. And I got to pull that one out. And you see this one pleat start to flip towards me. I'm going to hold it, lift that foot up, tuck it back under, and make sure that foot sits on top of it. That pin's too close. A matter of patience. A lot of times that's really what it's all about. Now I'm looking at this. What happened on this side? Oh, I see. One of them came out. Line that back up and hold it. was supposed to be tucked under. Yeah, silly thing. Don't worry, I'm not going to cut my fingers off, okay? You learn how to avoid that problem. Now what I do with the plates is, I start at the beginning of a plate, and when I get to the end, I stop at the end, so they're both being held in place, and then I can hold on to the fabric to make sure it's cutting and sewing it straight. And I'm not losing my plates. There we go. Take the pin out. You don't want to sew through the pins. It also allows you to take the pins out as you go. You want to take off like a rocket. Alright, into the smooth side here. I needed every little inch I could get to make sure I had my length. This is actually going to connect the top port. Everything. That's right. No, that doesn't get in there yet. Like, don't sew that in there yet. There we go. And I know with scissors, I use a seam ripper. And I pinned the top portion on it because I did not want to lose it or what I was actually doing, and I just undid it by accident. But I'm going to take these pins out of here. I didn't leave any in. I took most of them out as I went across. There's a few. And I'll get my magnet afterwards and I'll snag these off of it. I'll reposition the camera so you guys can see how the plates are actually pinned. Some people don't like to do them because they say it's tedious, but oh my goodness, they look so nice when they're done and done right. Okay, this is the first step of the extender, and I have added it right there. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Now you see how I've got, basically I've got like 2.5 plates put into it. And when you have stripes like this, you can decide whether you want the green stripes, the green stripes to be recessed or prominent to the outside. I kind of did half and half because it's going to be gathered on the rod, so it doesn't really matter. If I was trying to get real specific, yeah, I would have probably done it a little different. When I went to do the second one, I go, why did I do it? Make sure I've got all those pins out there. Now at this juncture, I would actually press. I press everything. I like crisp, so when I hang it up, I don't have to press anything. So hang it up, crispy pressed. And doing the side seams of all the components. You don't have to do the side seams all, all at the end. No as you go, since it had to be pieced together. So now the topper part gets added again, right sides together. You pin the very edge, your outside hem area, is what you call it. And if you do use the satin ribbon over that middle seam, bring it around to the back. Guess what? These are stitch witchery too. There's no stitches in there. That's just glued to in there, and it works perfect. And you go across to the other end, or edge, the selvage edge, and you match it up. Pin that. And hopefully I have my marking thing over here. And I bet you it's on the table where I left it. Okay. No, it's right here. Okay, I got a pink one. Right, that way I can see it. They wash out. They're washable. So don't worry. I have a purple one on actually, I used a pink one on the flower girl dresses I did, and it was white lace. And I was like, oh gosh, I had to wash it out before they got them. And then they couldn't wear them because they grew, in 2 months, they grew like 3 inches. Both the little girls. It's crazy. Never knew little girls could do that, grow like that. I knew boys did it. Okay, so now I've got them pinned. And you see how the main material is droopy? That's why I did the pleats. So, not only, I have to confess something. When I did the first one, I forgot to do the pleats on the top part because I got so excited the bottom part worked out. And I go, oh shoot, I gotta do pleats on both ends. Yeah, sure do. So I'm gonna take it, and this, it doesn't matter if you put right sides together, wrong sides together, because you're marking where the centers and the quarter areas are. So you take it, and the green one, I'm gonna put a little pink line on this side. I'm also doing it on the other side because I never know which end I'm coming from. Sometimes I do most things, well, I'm left-handed, but sometimes I end up doing things right-handed, and I don't know why. I know my dad did it. And you take, when you're halfway, you're going to fold it again and do the same thing. Bring it to the half of the half, that's your quarter mark. And this is how I figured out how to make an even number of pleats or an odd number, like 3.5 pleats and then 3.5 pleats instead of 4 whole ones. It's not wide enough to do 4 whole ones. If this was a 54-inch wide fabric, yeah, it would facilitate that. This is only 45. This is one of those dollar fabrics I think I bought years and years ago. My stash has things from 1998. I had fabric from 1998. All different kinds. Cottons, rayon, challis, damask. Okay. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. Now, this is what I did. If you do not have a definite print, like this has a definite print, I'm using the stripes to my advantage. I am going to start at the center, and you're going to go from one side to the other side. That way you will have evenly spread out plates on your finished product. I'm going to take this stool that I have over here and reposition the camera so you can actually watch that folding process with my little finger. I think this will probably work pretty well if I do it this way. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. Don't get dizzy, okay? Alright, I think you can see it there. So I'm going to take the fabric. Here, of course, that's my seamed edge. This is the one that I have to sew onto it to the top. Okay, so my right sides are together. The pink kind of bled through like that. And I go to the middle one. Okay, the middle mark is, it's going to be, so the middle mark in the green one is right, I lose it again. It's like right here. It's this one. I didn't do such a good job of marking that one. Oh wait, there it is. Yep, that's it. Okay, so I'm starting in the center. Oops, got it that way. There we go. That's the center mark. So I'm going to put my first pleat in the center. Well, I'm not happy about this because I don't have like the block of the blue in the center. So I have to decide, do I want on the right side, on this side, do I want it to look like this, where the blue is recessed and you see the green first, or do I want it to look like this, with the blue popping out on top of the stripes. I like to have the blue recessed because it gives depth. My personal choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this first one, and then I'm going to go to the middle point on one side, make a pleat there, and do the same thing on the other side in the middle, at the middle point. So this one actually is going to be like this. And I know that I don't have that many inches to go, so I'm going to take about a 1/4 inch. And you see how I just kind of like folded it over there like that? And I'm going to take a pin, and I'm going to pin that in place to hold it. And because I have stripes, this makes it easy. If you don't have stripes, you just decide how deep or not deep you need to have them. If you have 45 inches and then you have 60 inches, I would make them 1/4 inch pleats, 1/4 inch depth, because you're actually using up a 1/2 inch when you do that. And the proper method is you subtract the shorter width from the larger width, you get 15 inches. So you have 15 inches to make a pleat with. And then you figure out how many pleats, 15 divided by how many pleats, how many inches you use, and it tells you how deep to make them. Yeah, math again, don't you love it? Okay, so that's the center one. You go over here to the one in the middle of the half. So this is the 1/4 mark, and you do the same thing. So that's the blue one. I want it recessed, so I'm going to tuck it behind. The green is going in the front, and pin like this, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now if you have a print that you have to match things up, that makes it a little bit harder, because then you end up having to use more material to keep the pattern consistent through the whole thing. So then I'm going to go back to the other side, and this is the center on the other side. Excuse me. There's a blue one there. I'm going to tuck that one under. Uh-oh, get in there. And this is when you see just how much more pucker, I call it, that you have that can be pleated. Now when you pin these, sorry, I can just slide up. Make sure you pin them down at least 2 inches so that you can see how it's going to flow. And you're not going to stitch down there. You're only going to stitch here, like I did just now. I just serged across the pleats at the top, and that was a 1/4 inch seam. You like that. Okay. Now I'm laying this back together, the stripes and the green, to see just how poofy is this section. Look, it's this one from here, it's flat. There is no need for a pleat. Works for me. I just wanted a few, I don't want it to be like super pleaty. And I'm going to the other side and see if it does the same thing. Okay. Where's the green stuff? Where'd you go? Oh, here we go. It detached itself. You're such a bad piece of fabric. The edge came apart. I didn't have the pin in there right. Okay, you go in here. I'll get you in there now. And then on this side, well, I could put, if I leave, where's the center? Center one. That's the center. So here's the center mark. And the center mark on the green is right here. I know you can't really see it, but it's right there. You want to make sure those stay together, okay? To ensure the evenness of your plates on the other part. So I need to make sure I have another pin here, so this doesn't move around, and I can kind of fudge the spacing. That one's going to be there. This part goes here, and this one, the mark for this one is on the green. Where are you, baby? Right here. So this one actually is there. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that you really should, wherever those marks match up on the extender piece, make sure they stay there. And that's the only way you're going to know what you have in here. So there's a little bit of a pucker, okay? So I'm going to go to the next blue stripe from this one and do a pleat with that. Now the thing is, because there's not much pucker, I don't need a full pleat. I just need a half pleat, which means one side. So I only did one side. I folded it over. This is nice and smooth. And now I have a half pleat on this end. This is just a solution to when you don't have fabric that's the same width to have it evenly, to extend it evenly. And do this one like this. Now what I'm doing is I'm getting it ready for seaming. So I'm putting a pin in between. So I've got pins about every 2.5 inches or so. And that way it won't slide around when I go to actually sew it. And what I did with the first one, like I said, it's not completed as far as the casing for the top, but I wanted to do that to get an idea like how much of a hem I was going to have to do. Okay, so then we've got this as a center one, I believe. And this one, where's your little dot? There's a dot there. And this one is, I lost it. No, it's like right here, but it's really close. So this is going to be another half pleat on this one because it's like there's not very much pucker at all. So I'm going to make sure I pin this pleat back down to the green one because it's not actually attached to the green one right now. That, see that on that line, just like this. That's the one that had the mark, and the other mark is like here. And so when I go like this, there's a little bit of a little thing. So I have to decide, do I want it on this side or this side? I'm going to go from the center over. It always looks better that way because you're working your way out, not in. Now I could be a real rebel and do it, put the green on the outside, but then it wouldn't look right. There's something about having the darker color laying on the inside that just draws you in, so to speak. And that's probably why I do it that way. Yeah, I had a pin in my hand. What I did? I dropped it. Pin that all the way through to the green. See, I'm pinning it all the way through. Okay. Pin this one. So now I'm, in between every section, I've got a pin. And this is the one on the side of the center. Put one there. I'm putting them far enough back that I'm going to serge this across. Because I don't want to use my sewing machine on it. I'm going to keep this plate sitting down because the one in the center is always the most prominent one. So I want to make sure that one's all the way through. Just like there. Well, I need to put that down. About 2 inches wet down from the edge. So now I'm going to look over here and see what we got going. I took that one out, which I should not have. Silly me. Because it goes over here. It's supposed to be there from being pleated. Put that one back in there. And when you have stripes, it's great because you straighten up your pleats. Like when you go to press it, because when you press, you don't want it to be all like crooked. And the stripes will allow you to do that. So that's that one. Yeah, I should have just a little give on this side. Actually, I got a good bit. So, I don't want to do this blue one. And I really don't want to do that one so much for the mere fact that it's too close to the one that I just did. Yeah, it's way too close. So I'm going to do the green one. Actually, I'm going to do the green one prominent out. Still makes the blue recessed, and I'll show you in a second. Just like I did with the other one, but I'm not doing this. I'm sorry, I'm not doing this side closest to this pleat. That's too close together for the pattern that I'm doing. So I did the outside piece, and I'm going to do the outside piece of the next blue one to still have my blue in the recess mode. And then I'll take that one and put that one over a 1/4 inch on this side. And sometimes you end up with more on one side than the other, and I don't know how that works and why it does, but it does it occasionally. But when you look at it on the other side, it looks absolutely perfect. There's not a darn thing wrong with it. I'm so glad this was a straight fabric. That's what I fell in love with, was the vertical stripes. I said, oh, my dining room looks bigger. Actually taller. It's your average height ceiling. And I'm short, so I like to see the tall ceilings. Right there, and one in between. You want a pin in between each pleating for stability as you sew it. You've got to finish it off. And now we're going to do this and see if we have to have any at the end. And funny thing is, on this end, you do. Let's use this. I put one at the, what do they call it, the 8th mark, 8th of it mark, and it stays there. So it matches there. I can do my recessed blue. It doesn't look bad. This is where you decide whether you want this edge here, you want this edge in the center of your window, or to the right. You hang it up and you look at it and go, yeah, I don't like that side. I'll put it the other way. That's how I do. I just look at how it looks, and I go, eh. And then you can get this one on this side, and that's what's going to make this nice and even. By tucking that in right there, and pulling it back just to the right. I keep forgetting I have to go opposite direction so that you guys can see. I'm like, wait a minute, camera's backwards. No, you're backwards. I'm backwards. Meaning you. I'm the you. You're not the you, I'm the you. And then I will kind of give you how this looks. Excuse me. And put a pin here. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like when they're done. I have the one done and how it's hanging up. It's so pretty. I was really happy with the decision to put the ribbon on the green and the green inside there. Okay, so this is the one where we had the silly blue thing. They like to pop out at the top, so that's why I loved using the stitch witchery on the one half to make sure it stayed down. There we go. Yeah, it's literally gonna flip out like this until you sew it. Okay, so let me fix this up so I can show you what I got. So this is the wrong side. This is the right side. Okay. Now, you see how you really can't tell right now because it's not been pressed, it's not been sewn. But this is going to look a lot like that one. And I'm going to grab the camera and show you. The only thing left to do this is, like I did with this one, I draped it over the rod and pulled it up to the length that I need it for. And that's when I decide whether I'm going to have a 4-inch casing at the top or 6-inch, because I want these all to have the same casing width at the top. And that's why they all have an 18-inch top, because then I know I'm going to put the casing in the same location for each one. So it would be, I would fold this one over like this, like that, and then stitch however many inches down to match that one that's already up there. So I'm going to show you what you end up with and why, when you don't have enough fabric to do your project, It's not earth-shattering, and it's not going to be the end of the world. So, my striped creation is over here. I'm just going to grab the camera and get it over there. There we go. Now, make sure that you can see. Now, okay, there we go. Those are the curtains. That's how they're going to look. And if you look at the top, see the green? It goes with it perfectly. And a little bit of shine is exactly the touch they needed without putting sequins. And look, it does make this room look really, really tall. I mean, it gives the illusion that this room is like 10 feet tall. That's the ladder I use when I put the hardware up. So I do all the handyman stuff when it comes to the interior home decor as well. So, yeah, my husband gets kind of upset when I borrow his tools, but as long as I put them back, we're good. This is great. I mean, that an idea in my head actually looks good. I think so. Hey, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And don't ever panic if you say, oh gosh, I didn't buy enough material. I didn't buy enough fabric for my curtains. What am I going to do? I did that. When I realized I had 2 panels cut short and 2 panels that were one, I go, oh no. It was 2 pieces of remnant. So I cut one in half from the other one. Yeah, I didn't realize they weren't the same length. I was in a hurry to get them up, and it slowed me up. But I don't think I could have thought of anything better, and I know the ideas come from him. He gave me this brain anyway. It's my passion, and I get joy from it, and I like to share the joy with others. And I'm getting ready to alter a bridesmaid's dress. Is hot red, and that's the things I love to do. If you love this stuff, just keep on sewing. Have some joy in it. Oh, and by the way, like my channel, would you? Could you, hun? Just like it. I mean, I'm coming up with other things to do. I'm going to make a purse, kind of like a hobo bag kind of thing, but it's going to have Elvis on it. Are you an Elvis fan? Because if I get a comment where someone says they're an Elvis fan, I'm going to give you the bag. It's going to be my Christmas present to you. Who wants an Elvis purse? It's on silver fabric, and you're never going to believe where I got the fabric from. I am one budget-conscious seamstress, and you're going to learn so much about where you can find finds and not spend hardly any money on it, but come out and make something fabulous, and everybody's like, oh, where did you get that? I'm going to make one with Audrey Hepburn on it, too. Yeah, because I don't like Woody Allen. Not Woody Allen, what's his name? One of those old-time saying, Buddy Holly. Yeah, I got careless about Buddy Holly, but I do like Elvis and Marilyn Monroe. I just have to decide how big the bag should be. So if you can leave me a comment, if you are the one who wants the Elvis bag, purse, handbag, whatever you want, how big do you want it? And then if you want Audrey Hepburn, same thing. But if nobody comments, I can't give my gifts away. I love giving gifts. That's why I give on my birthday too. I don't take gifts from people. I let them get a gift from me. It's more fun that way. That's the passion and the joy that I go for. Also, share my videos. I come up with some interesting things once in a while. I even do polymer clay stuff. I don't do this stuff. I got a toaster oven and I've been playing with it, making little candle holder things and incense burners. I made an elephant one to go with my collection. So, you want an incense burner? Let me do that too. Make a comment. I'll make you one. You can give me an idea about what you want to make, the shape. If you want a flower or critter or whatever. I love making stuff for folks. Just to give them away. Hey, as I always say, find that joy and your passion Never stop and never stop smiling while you're doing it. And keep on sewing as long as the good Lord lets you. Because I am. God bless you. Good morning now.